Have you ever told a little white lie? Of course you have, we all do it. But what if I told you there's a test so strange, so uncanny, that it makes almost everyone tell the exact same lie? Not just a similar lie, but the same words, in the same order. It sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, right? A script everyone somehow knows without ever seeing it. Well, this isn't fiction. It's a real psychological phenomenon, and today, we're going to dive deep into this fascinating experiment. We'll unpack what it reveals about the hidden wiring of our brains, our shared cultural programming, and the predictable patterns behind our so-called spontaneous thoughts. Get ready, because what you're about to hear might just change the way you think about free will itself. So, what is this mysterious test? It's deceptively simple. You bring a person into a room and you tell them you're going to show them a series of colored shapes. All they have to do is name the color and the shape. Easy enough. You show them a blue square, they say blue square. You show them a red circle, they say red circle, but then comes the twist. The experimenter leans in and says, "For the next one, I want you to lie. Whatever you see, tell me it's something else." The experimenter then presents the final card, a green triangle. Now, think about it. If you were in that chair, what would you say? You have an infinite number of possible lies. You could say purple octagon, yellow star, orange rectangle, pink diamond. The possibilities are literally endless. You have complete freedom to invent any combination of color and shape. Yet, an overwhelming majority of people, from different backgrounds, different ages, all across the world where this has been replicated, say the exact same thing. They look at the green triangle, and when asked to lie, they say a blue circle. Isn't that wild? Not a red square, not a yellow star. A blue circle. Why, what invisible force is pushing all these different minds toward the same exact fabrication? It's not a coincidence, it's psychology. To understand this, we need to break down the cognitive process happening in your brain when you're asked to lie. First, your brain perceives the reality, green triangle. It registers the color green and the shape triangle. The instruction is to lie, which means your brain has to suppress this initial, truthful answer. This suppression takes mental energy. Now, your brain needs to generate a new, false answer. But our brains are fundamentally lazy. They're built for efficiency. Coming up with a completely random, creative lie like a mauve dodecahedron requires a lot of cognitive effort. You have to invent a new color and a new shape from scratch. Your brain prefers to take a shortcut. So, what's the easiest, most efficient lie to tell? It's a lie that's closely related to the truth, but is demonstrably false. Let's start with the color. What's the opposite of green? Or at least a very common, simple color that isn't green. For many people, the primary colors red, yellow, and blue are the most accessible defaults in their mind. Blue is an incredibly common, basic color that our brain can retrieve with minimal effort. It's a simple, primary alternative to green. Now for the shape. The triangle has 3 sides. What's the simplest shape you can think of? For most people, it's a circle. A circle has no sides, no corners. It's the most basic, elemental shape in our visual vocabulary. It feels like the conceptual opposite of a pointy, angular triangle. So, when your brain is looking for a quick and easy replacement for triangle, circle is right there at the top of the mental list. Put them together, and you get blue circle. It's not a random invention. It's a cognitively cheap lie. Your brain isn't trying to be creative. It's trying to fulfill the instruction to lie with the least amount of effort possible. It's like when someone asks how are you, and you're having a terrible day. You don't launch into a detailed explanation. You just say fine, thanks. It's a low-effort social lie. This is the cognitive equivalent. This phenomenon is sometimes called the blue circle or green triangle effect, and it tells us so much about how our minds work under pressure. It demonstrates that our free choices are often constrained by invisible mental shortcuts, known as heuristics. These are mental rules of thumb that allow us to make judgments and solve problems quickly and efficiently. Think about it in other contexts. If I ask you to name a vegetable, you'll probably say carrot or broccoli, not kohlrabi. If I ask you to name a tool, you'll likely say hammer, not adze. We all have these default, low-effort answers stored away. Our brains are database systems, and some files are just quicker to access than others. The blue circle is simply the most easily accessible file in the Lie About a Green Triangle folder. What's also fascinating is the cultural component. While blue circle is the most common answer in Western cultures, you might see slight variations in other parts of the world based on language and cultural symbols. However, the underlying principle remains the same. The lie is almost never complex. It's always a simple color and a simple shape, because cognitive laziness is a universal human trait. This experiment also shines a light on the nature of creativity. True creativity, coming up with something genuinely new and unexpected, is hard work. It requires breaking free from these default pathways. When we're put on the spot and asked to be inventive, our first instinct is often to grab the most obvious, well-worn idea. This test shows us that the path of least resistance is incredibly powerful, and often leads us all down the same road. It's a little humbling, isn't it? We like to think of ourselves as unique individuals, making our own choices. But an experiment this simple shows that we are all running on very similar software. When given the same input and the same instructions, our processors often produce the exact same output. So, what does this mean for us in our daily lives? Well, it's a good reminder to be mindful of our own thought processes. When you make a snap judgment or a quick decision, ask yourself, is this a considered choice? Or am I just reaching for the blue circle? Am I just following the easiest mental path? Sometimes, the easy path is fine. But other times, taking a moment to push past that initial, default thought can lead to more creative, more interesting, and more truthful outcomes. This simple test, asking people to lie about a green triangle, pulls back the curtain on the human mind. It reveals our shared cognitive architecture, our brain's love for efficiency, and the powerful, invisible currents that guide our thoughts. We are not as random or as original as we might think. And in a strange way, there's something beautiful about that. It connects us. It shows that beneath all our surface-level differences, our minds are wired in remarkably similar ways. The next time you catch yourself in a small lie, maybe you'll think about this. What cognitive shortcuts are you taking? And if you were looking at a green triangle, what would you have said? Let me know your answer in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to see if anyone would have broken the mold. Thanks so much for watching and for joining me on this deep dive into the human psyche. If you found this as fascinating as I do, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into the mysteries of our mind. See you in the next video.